Welcome to our Wednesday Facebook Live Relationship Headquarters. Today's topic we're going to start with before we answer questions is going to be how your strongest fear can create the deepest empathy. Those women that just went through our 6 weeks to a Secure Man course, we talked about this and we call it your signature. And if you'll notice, think about someone in your life and it's a dear friend. And one of the things you know about them is their wonderful stuff, but you also know their weird stuff too. I mentioned last time that I have a very close friend that's dying of cancer. And Roger is someone that I play golf with for years. And during the course of that time, there are times Roger is really opinionated about something. And there are times he talked a lot. And there are times, I was really opinionated about something. And it's not that we had a wonderful time every time we saw each other, but I understood Roger. And Roger was good about this is what his thing was. This is what his tendency was. And because he knew that and he was working on it, it wasn't that big a deal. So translated this way, imagine there's a man in your life and he has a temper and you point it out to him. He's rude to the waiter. He snaps at you when you say something he doesn't like. And you say, God, that was a little harsh. I didn't feel good. He says, well, what are you talking about? That wasn't rude. That wasn't ugly. You point it out again later. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. You're too sensitive. The issue is not that he has a temper. The issue is his lack of awareness with it. One of the biggest intimacy killers is someone's lack of awareness about who they are. As much as we talk about putting your heart first, authentic, creating magic, the other side of that is that we're never striving for perfect. But we're never going for the ideal weight, the ideal look, the phrase that no matter what, 24 hours a day, it always works. And the reason is that, someone that makes it a point to always never have a bad day, hi, Helene, never get upset, that person's kind of fragile. You can't get close to them. So what we're after is, you know who you are and you know your tendencies. And that denial part, the scary part is, oh my gosh, this isn't going to change. This isn't going to get better. They don't even think it's a problem. Just for a moment, reflect on someone you've dated, maybe even married, that had this. There's an issue or something tangible that you wish they saw, but they wouldn't see it. And no matter how you point it out, maybe you tried if it was just an insight, if I could just say it a certain way, they'd get it, but they won't get it because these type things, you can see it if you're willing to see it. We've all gotten feedback. We've all been told. And when we don't do that, when we make it a point not to, that makes it where a man doesn't want to get close to you. That's what scares him. It's acknowledgement, because when you acknowledge it, why this creates intimacy is then the thing, whatever thing you're afraid of, is something that, wow, he knows this about you. He thinks, oh, she gets that. And then when it comes up, if you really want to do well, you give him permission to point it out. Again, this goes both ways. And you say, look, I'm working on this. I don't quite have it yet. And if you see me do this, it's okay to say something. Just please be gentle. Please don't pound me with this. Please don't be ugly. Please don't be horrible. And then when you do that, then what that shows him is that when you point out something with him, you're using the same standard that you use with yourself. What men see is that oftentimes, I'm generalizing, is that women will point out details about themselves, their flaws, things that are wrong, and they're accurate most of the time, but they don't take that same scrutiny to themselves. If you'll do this, it takes a little courage to do that, because there's a tendency for most of us to want to think, I've resolved that, I'm not that anymore, I was when I was younger. And the truth is, we all carry some of that. If I'm controlling, or if I worry too much, or I'm obsessive, I'm always going to have some of that. Prone to anxiety, blaming, whatever it is. But if I have some of it and I know what it is, that's the part that makes you more real. See, a woman that never has flaws or never exposes them or hides them is the same thing as a woman whose makeup is always perfect. And I mean always. Like every time the guy sees her makeup's perfect. She's too afraid to be authentic. She's too afraid to have a bad makeup day. That's the same thing emotionally when someone says, I don't have a problem. And conversely, if you have a man that's like this and it's early on, pay very close attention to that, because it's not the thing. It's not remember, I know I'm repeating this a lot. It's what they do with it. Because ideally, what we want to do is to embrace that thing. So this intimacy builder, Alfred Adler described this as the courage to be imperfect. And that doesn't mean that let's go out and do dumb things It means that we all have flaws. None of us are perfect. None of us want to be. Intimacy is not about two perfect people finding each other. Intimacy is about, I'm willing to share my scars with you, and I'll make it safe for you to share mine with me. I won't always do it perfect, and I'm not going to deny that I have it either. And when couples get like that, when you find someone like that, then you have the opportunity for a level of intimacy that isn't possible on a first or second date. That's one of my big issues with is just let's have sex right away. I'm like, there's no intimacy involved. It's intense, but you're lighting the fire without putting it in a fire pit. It's like lighting it near a gasoline station or something. So that's another topic. All right, so that's our topic for the day. And I do find couples that do really well. This is what you'll find. Some it takes years to get there. If you can get a head start with it and know what it is you're embarrassed about, what it is you're working on. And if we can help with that, we're more than willing to. But this is about making peace with that and embracing it instead of trying to kill it.